Thank you, Council. On behalf of the Extell Development team, Van Haymeyer, Michael Johnson, Brooke Hans, Leroy Farrell, Travis Richardson, and our Council, Roger Henriksen, we appreciate you allowing us the opportunity to talk about the master plan amendment we remitted today. So as you're aware, we've been working closely with staff to provide a master plan amendment and to move it through the county process. Not only do we appreciate the county staff.
Would you please repeat your name for our record?
It's Kurt Krieg, and I'm with Extell Development. It's Krieg. Again, thanks for having me. Not only do we appreciate the county staff, Doug Smith, council over there, Scott, as well as Mike Davis, but we also appreciate many other partners who have made this amendment possible, such as the Wasatch Fire District, I know Troy and Clint and Ernie were here earlier, the JSSD, and MIDA. Last week, we were able and fortunate to walk the site with the JSPA Commission, county staff, JSSD, MIDA, and members of the public. Through these walks and numerous other previous meetings with the JSPA Commission, as well as you as council, there has been questions raised specific to the associated project, and today we're here to answer those. The team previously diligently took notes on these questions. They're going to address them before you. If you're amenable, I will run through the key components of this amendment, as well as touch on the previously posed questions. Before we begin, I wanted to let you know that our council has reviewed the amendment and believes it substantially conforms with the pending application remitted by the Mayflower Sticking Group. So to go a little bit back in history, in 2015, an application was remitted for this parcel. And so this is an amendment that we turned in this morning to Doug that will blanket the overall application. As with any master plan application remitted by others, the Mayflower Mountain Resort Master Plan as amended requests three key things: density determination, constraints analysis, and the master plan approval. Please know, we are not asking for any variances at this point. When we do, we will have to talk with staff and come before you as council to request approval. In short, what was remitted as part of this amendment was designed to county code. With that said, we'll begin the presentation. On the screen, you'll see a rendering of the Mountainside Village. As outlined by the governance, which is the Jordan L. Special Planned Area, which was adopted in 2014, the village layout meets the JSPA as a resort mountain village and ski portal. Moreover, it was designed to be a multi-purpose pedestrian-based village with resort accommodations, including hotel rooms, condominiums, single-family residence, retail, commercial, and recreation. The walkable community was designed based on the principles of Roger Brooks International, that company's blueprint for developing successful destination resorts. Elements of the village include creating a critical mass within the village itself. In this case, there are three cornerstone elements that will bring the mass together: a skier hotel, which is shown right here, a luxury hotel, which is shown over here, and a conference hotel, which is shown right here. The three hotels, along with the abutting and surrounding fee simple real estate, provides opportunity for people to visit, live, and directly participate and benefit from the village core and its associated recreation, retail, and commercial. To further implement Mr. Brooks' principles, the Mayflower Village, 100% of it, was designed within a quarter-mile radius to ensure walking, and that includes day skier parking. The application as amended encompasses 940 acres. There was no change in the acreage from the initial application. As you'll see on this slide, the MPA, the Master Plan Amendment, has 67% open space. The 340 acres of developable land has been divided into 3 core elements. 51 acres of the core village, which is the village in high density, 24 acres of medium density, and then 265 acres of single-family lots, which is shown in yellow. With the largest land use being single-family, you can derive that the resort home, due to your regulatory constraints, will not cover a large portion of the lot. Thus, in turn, you will have greater than 67% open space in the end. The next slide represents the village core itself, and starting from the southwest, I will run you swiftly through the various buildings. So just to put it in the orientation, you have north down here in the corner. But what we are looking over here is ski facilities and workforce housing, day skier parking, a recreation facility, fee simple townhomes, fee simple condominiums. As I mentioned earlier, the skier hotel and condominiums. Basically right along here, you have the ski beach. You have single family lots starting up the hill and single family lots over here. Here is the village core, and we're going to go into a commercial element in just a minute. And on this side, as I mentioned, is the luxury hotel. Right here is what's called the MRF, or the Military Recreation Facility. And then down here is really infill development of condominiums and townhomes. Here is a slide of the commercial. 100% of the commercial being requested is within the village and within pedestrian area. So what you'll look through is all of this that is highlighted is your commercial core. 250,000 square feet is being requested. Working with the SE Group in Deer Valley, we're also working on ski improvements. The SE Group has been contracted to further the design from schematic to construction drawings. So just to put it in perspective, the village sits right here. I will note that a portion of the ski improvements are not within the Mayflower land holdings. This is Pioche and Blue Ledge over here.
Sure. Just back on the other one. What's F&D stand for on that map?
Food and
Food and
beverage.
beverage.
Okay. Thank you.
Tying into the ski slide, here is a rendering of the ski beach. And this really, as the ski runs come down, really tie in. As you see, here is the skier hotel, basically a ski amenity for food and service, additional retail, and then condominiums. And just below, you'll see the core of the village. So this is looking to the south. And really, again, put it in perspective, these were the fee simple condominiums on the uphill side, the skier hotel, the core village with retail throughout the first and second levels over here, village on this side, and then a central location for an amphitheater and ice rink. We take a quick look, and you're now looking north, and you're looking at the military recreation facility, which is the large building here. And this is a conference facility, which I'll talk about later in the presentation. But again, showing here is your retail on the first floor going through the entire project. This is a rendering of the luxury hotel, just so everybody is aware. Extell is very fortunate to have many hotel partners, and discussions for a 5-star hotel have already started, which included day spa. So with that, and I don't know if we can move the slide over slightly, but this is the density. The application, consisting of the 940 acres, outlines 1,498 residential ERUs and 410 hotel and commercial ERUs, totaling 1,908. So the residential, commercial, subtotal. With that is the commercial retail at 250,000 square feet, a recreational building at 68,000, and then workforce housing at 95,000 or 130 residential. The way this breaks out per code is, while the J-spot clearly allows 1,599 ERUs within the project boundary, we are merely asking for the 1,498. This is far different than the application that was turned in. Just to put it in perspective, and we show it down here, the application that is currently sitting with the county since 2015 was for 3,292 ERUs. So it's a 42% reduction. And with that, it's 1,024 from the J-spot density and 474 from mining. So I will note that this does not include the MRF or the military hotel facility, as that is part of MIDA, or the control area for MIDA. With that said, there was a single increase in density, and that was, it is our intent as Extell to put workforce housing, moderate income, affordable, and workforce and employee housing on site. So you will see before that was spread on other parcels outside of Mayflower, but our intent is to put it on the site itself. Additionally, the original application had 500,000 square feet of commercial. We have stricken that by 50% and are requesting 250,000 square feet. If the village is successful, the lower portion of the village, and when I was talking about the infill area, can easily accommodate retail on the first floor, as it's 4 stories. This is no different or similar to other winter resorts such as Whistler, and we can come back before you. But at this point, we're requesting the 250,000. Lastly, sorry about that. Related to workforce housing, as we go forward, we will work closely with Doug, Mike Davis, and council to bookend in the development agreement workforce housing with the intent to put it on site and to provide employee housing and affordable housing. Extell staff and consultants have been working closely with Chief Giles and the Fire District on a fire life safety plan. What you see before you is just a part of it. This is a village access plan. However, at the last council meeting that we were presenting, a question came up relative to the portals or the secondary access. There are 1 or more portals required for this project. It's been determined that there's a second portal, which is a southern portal, that we will ultimately be working with the county on. At the direction of county staff, a traffic analysis was created by Hales Engineering. That traffic study addressed the overall traffic impacts of this existing plan with the ERUs that we have presented. In the outline of this traffic analysis, which is a fascinating read if you want to take time to read it, in 2025, it assumes that the south portal handled 20% of the total traffic. So with that said, and the overall success of the J-spot as relative to these portals, the Extell team is committed to working cooperatively with Wasatch County and the Fire District to find the solution at the best time to build this portal. You need to know, during the last legislation session, the Utah state legislation approved a $10 million grant from UDOT for the construction of the north and south portals. And to be clear, this grant is unrelated to the East Side Development funding and monies for the Jordanelle Parkway. We're back to the overall site plan. So parking was a question that was raised previously. Extell, our team, had a parking analysis prepared, and it included it is included in the amendment. to determine how much parking is needed to accommodate the build-out of this project, including 4 components: residential, commercial, retail, and ski. As you can see by this map, so this is basically the parking. Parking is dispersed throughout the entire site, so all of the buildings have parking underneath as well. This not only provides ease to ensure that in a mountain environment roads can be plowed, but this off-site parking allows simple use by users and guests. In conjunction with parking, concerns were raised regarding the need for transit service. Extell will be developing an on-site transit plan to move residents and guests throughout the village. Also, we have designed 2 key transit locations. One over here by the day skier parking, and remember this is a cabriolet going up to the village, as well as a drop-off. These 2 locations will be able to service adjoining or adjacent property shuttles, as well as ride-share companies like Uber and Lyft. In addition to that, the architects have designed in front of the conference center bus drop-off. And this is key to allow for access to the convention center as well as convenient access of large groups to the resort village. Lastly, from your council session, there were 2 additional questions posed. One was regarding a zip code. So the Extell team, since the last workshop with you all, has reached out to the U.S. Postal Service. Not quite an easy process, but we have reached out and started the initial dialogue to create a postal zone, not only for Mayflower, but for this region. So we will continue to work on that. We're going to need some help lifting from the county, but just so you're aware, that has been addressed. The other need with employee housing or workforce housing be anticipated on site, there was a question of the grocery store being within the village. And as you can see, within the 250,000 square feet, we have positioned a sundry shop and a small grocery. It won't be full-blown, but it'll be something so that it takes down on the transit for those employees and guests in the village. So that was really related to the master plan amendment. What I'd like to do is shift just for a minute to the non-amendment items. And there's 3 of these I'd like to address with this council. First and foremost, the land, while beautiful, has had very little efforts of stewardship on it. We have been working with Ernie and his team on defensible space measures and fire breaks that we hope to enact this summer. You'll see flagging on the runs themselves right now to enact this defensible space. And what we have done is we went back and sought one of the regional professionals. His name is Dr. Lutz, and he's a wildfire specialist, to create a report and tell us how the winds flow and the studies with the rise through the different crevasses and dips on where a fire would spread. These efforts are not intended to stop the fire, rather to slow it, to combat it. And when you read the report, just so you know, on April 25th, the county was provided copies of the report both to the fire district, the planning and engineering teams. So if you want to read it, you can read it. It's about fuels management and limbing up the trees, removing the overgrown ground brush on top of that. So with that, we're looking to implement the defensible space and fire breaks. And coincidentally, there's no secret that they go over where we're proposing future ski runs, and there's a reason for that. These ski runs are the natural terrain of where the different gullies are and where the wind would actually pick up and spread. So there's twofold. One, we wouldn't just cut a line up the mountain. It would make no sense. But just so you're aware, that's anticipated in the plan. I'll come back to this. The second is a voluntary cleanup plan, and we've talked with you at length before. But under the state of Utah, Extell has been accepted into what's called a voluntary cleanup program by the DERR and the DEQ. This program is intended to address historical mining activity and its leftover waste. The VCP process entails identifying specific sites and then establishing a plan to clean it up to livable levels. Brooke, with our team, can go into detail with any of you if you ever want to talk about it, but she will also keep Wasatch County staff informed, but that will begin this summer as well. Lastly, and I've turned to this slide, this is a rendering of the MRF, or the Military Recreation Facility. And we have coined it the MIDA Hotel. We have it politically correct with the Air Force. It's a military recreation facility. This surely will be a cornerstone of the region. It's slated for nearly 400 hotel rooms right now, a little over 60,000 square feet of conference space and associated commercial with that. It has underground parking not only to meet the hotel itself and the conference center, but also 200 additional spaces that can be allowed for guests coming from out of the region for conferences. The intent of the Extell team is ultimately to donate the land, there's 6 acres, before go to MIDA, to go to the Air Force by the end of June, and that's underfoot. That's important for numerous reasons, as this council is aware, as it triggers many components of what we would call the MIDA area as well as the MIDA control area. And by the way, I should mention, this building is not part of the amendment or the application itself because it's a jurisdiction by MIDA, so just please know that.
So it was not one of the 3 hotels you identified in the village?
It is one of the 3 hotels that will make the village work, and so it is one that we talk about there, and it's at the very end, so it's to the north. But for the village to be successful, it's really unique. When we talk about it, Steve, the village as a whole has to come together, and we have 2 different jurisdictions, which is fine, but this is kind of the donut hole. So what we're looking to do is make sure that we can move in parallel and in lockstep with MIDA, and the donation is really the first part of that. But we do count it because when we start talking about traffic counts as well as fire life safety, you'll see it on all the plans. But when it comes to building, it's not included in the amendment itself or counted against the ERUs.
But it is included in all your traffic counts,
That is
but not
correct.
in your ERUs.
That's correct.
Show it on the rendering.
So, Steve, again, this is the village core right through here. And this was the area that really is lower, and I was talking about that you can add in retail if needed. But the military recreation facility sits right over here and up to the north, right off the ski beach. In conclusion, it's an important note that besides the slides and issues we discussed above, these are just a fraction of what we turned into your staff. For public ease, we broke it into 3 volumes. So you'll see the first volume is the master plan application amendment. The second volume is a supplemental documentation, and it's really there as basically cliff notes to show the differences between the original application and the amendment. And then the third is the supplemental information from the original application to help for volume 2. With these 3 volumes, our team believes we provided the documentation to address the issues that were brought up before and run through any historical clarity of the information previously provided. Our goal is to come back before this council either the end of July or early August for master plan approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?